I am absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to speak to you today as part of our Veriff Voices series. You've recently joined Veriff as our Chief Revenue Officer. Would you like to introduce yourself and just provide us with a few words about your background?
Sure. Thank you, Lynn. I'm also very excited to be here as part of this series. And as you said, my name is Javier Ortega. I'm originally from Spain, but I am based in Austin, Texas, out of all places. I started my career in management consulting, and after a short time as an entrepreneur, I joined a tech company called Dropbox, when Dropbox was a tiny startup, a Series B company. And I was privileged enough to see it becoming a publicly traded company and scale over 1,500 people. So it was a very interesting time. After some time there, I joined another startup. I think there is something about me that likes building and potentially likes pain a little bit. So I joined a young company called Hopin in the midst of the pandemic to help people get closer together. And I recently joined Veriff as the Chief Revenue Officer, as you mentioned. I'm super excited to be here.
Well, welcome. I know you're understanding a little bit of your background. You've had a really rich and varied background working with, as you say, companies and teams all around the world. One of the challenges we often hear is that people in a sort of senior leadership role, similar to yourself, with global teams, really struggle balancing that demands of time. How do you manage your time with all of these global teams, and do you have any words of advice?
Oh boy. So I try my best to be available for my teams whenever they need me. But it's true that when you have a global role, your personal life and your professional life get very intertwined. So I try to get some time aside for me and my family, and I try to honor that time as much as I can. And then I personally like exercising, so I also have some blocks that help me disconnect. When I'm swimming, I cannot be on my phone. But overall, I try to be online as much as I can. I also think that taking time off is important, and being able to step away from the business and recharge. It's something that a lot of people fail to do. So I always encourage my teams to take time off when they need it and to prioritize other things other than work when they have to.
Great. Well, on that, I'm going to ask you another question, because I understand that you are a bit of a football or soccer fan. So who's your team of choice and why?
So I started, I forgot to mention that in my intro, but I started my career working for Real Madrid. And it's a team that I've always liked and I follow closely. I have to say that for the last few years, I haven't followed as closely as I used to. It might have to do with the fact that the games are at 6 or 7 a.m. my time during the weekends, and that's the time I used to sleep. But I'm a soccer fan, and we're a football fan, as we say back home.
That's another reason for time management, then, isn't it? So that's a good one. So,
yes.
Quickly turning to the world of identity and identity verification. You've, as you explained, gained lots of experience, with your sort of history and background in the tech sector. And when you think about identity, what problem do you see that the market's trying to solve? And do you think it's changing?
I think it's evolving every day, but the internet brought society a lot of great things. I think it's probably the biggest advancement that we've done as a society in a very long time, but it also came with a set of problems, including anonymity. And anonymity is nice for some things, but it actually encourages bad actors to take advantage of the system, as well as fraud to scale up. We're seeing fraud numbers multiplying year on year. When you look at the figures, they're staggering. And I think that making the internet a safer place is something that needs to be taken more seriously. It's kind of timely because there's a lot of conversations going in different industries about how to protect users and how to protect children in some cases, right? So starting from social media to adult entertainment or financial services, I think that the topic is more and more relevant every day, and the mission of Veriff is one of the things that draw me here.
No, that's a good one. And out of interest, is that something that, with your expertise, have you seen that attitude to the challenges around the internet being different in different regions or different countries, or do you see that as a global problem?
I actually see it as a global problem because if internet does something, it creates a plain slate for regions to have access to the same levels of information and to a certain extent to the same level of services and knowledge. So I see it being a global theme or a global topic. Now, it's true that regulators are acting faster in some regions than in others. So it's probably more top of mind for some companies when the regulator comes and says like, hey, you need to have identity verification in place before you can transact. So we're seeing some markets that are leaders on that, but I believe that most regions will follow, and there is not that much difference depending on where you sit. If there is difference at all, sometimes it's based on how do you treat that data and what do you do with personal information. But I think that identity is a global theme.
And do you see it as a sort of a market differentiator for a business? And if I have a strong control about digital identity, do you think that gives me as a business a better, stronger position with my customers? Is it something that you think, obviously you'll say yes, but what's the market position for that, do you think?
I think it depends on what your business is a lot, Lynn, and like there is no universal answer. But if you are a company that is in the business of providing trust or giving some access to content or giving people a platform to express their opinions, I think that yes, identity plays a very pivotal role. But there are some industries where maybe identity is not that much of a theme, or at least yet. But we're seeing more and more companies coming online with identity services, from marketplaces to gig economy. Like you need to really understand who you're doing business with.
No, that makes absolute sense.
And the fact that the IRS wants to know things, it also helps people to get on the identity train sooner rather than later. As you know, there is only a few things certain in life, and taxes is one of them, right?
Absolutely. I don't think anybody can escape from taxes.
Yeah.
Fraudsters, but yes, no, absolutely. So you joined Veriff quite recently. I have to ask you, what attracted you to the company? You know, and in your view, what makes Veriff different?
So for me, there were three things, and those are three things that I always check when I am doing the due diligence on joining a company. And the number one is what is the addressable market, right? Is this a problem that is a real problem? Is it a problem that is going to stay down the line, or is it something that is going to be like a trend that is going to go down after a little bit? And when I look at identity, I think that the TAM, or the total addressable market, is expanding every day. So that's one. That's what made me like get on the phone and start getting to understand more about the company. But eventually, what drew me to the conversation is not what made me join. What made me join was the people. For me, almost as important as what problem do you have is who are you going to be working with. And when I looked at the team that Veriff had in place and at the values of the company, I knew that this was a place where I could have a lot of fun and work with top caliber people. So those are two things that draw me here. The third one, because I told you that there were three reasons. It's that I believe that my experience can be very relevant for the company in the stage where it is, and I thought I will be able to help also bring us to the next stage of growth.
That's absolutely fabulous. So on that, with the next stage of growth, you know, as a Chief Revenue Officer, what would keep you up at night? What are the types of things that you worry about, and how are you going to help Veriff get their sort of message out to help other customers?
Lynn, I'm a warrior, so there's a lot of things that worry me here, but I know that a lot of people will think that the main concerns of a Chief Revenue Officer is probably revenue, and while that's partially true, I think on revenue as a lagging indicator. So revenue doesn't keep me up awake. I think if we do our job right, revenue will follow. But the main thing that I'm always concerned about is, are we serving our customers right? Are we building a product that solves the problem that our customers have in reality, or are we building a product for ourselves and thinking on what we believe is the right solution? So keeping close to customers, having listening pods, and making sure that their voice is elevated beyond go-to-market and reaching product, it's my priority number one. But there are more things that keep me awake, right? It's also how can we operate better internally? How do we make sure that the company is aligned in this and going in the same direction? Those are the things, the high-level things that as a chief revenue officer get me thinking. I don't know if awake. I sleep well, but I definitely worry.
So I think one of the things you said early on, which I thought was really resonated, is this balancing time and making sure that you are really good with your time management. And going back to what keeps you awake at night and how you relax, I understand that you're a really keen skier. Where would you say are the best ski slopes? Where would you recommend to people to hit the slopes to get that relaxation time?
Well, now you're getting me here because being Spanish, I would love to say Spain, but that would be far from reality. We have good snow, though, in the Pyrenees, but I've enjoyed skiing in Colorado more than anywhere else. I think that the snow there is pretty special, but I don't want to forget about my people back home, so I would also say Switzerland has, or Italy, have great slopes that I've tried. But there's more places that I have never been than places that I've gone to, so I'm sure I'm missing a lot of special places around the world.
So there's some good adventures ahead. So one of
Hopefully.
Absolutely. So one of my last questions, really, and you have to forgive my pronunciation because my Spanish is impossible, is
That's
I
okay.
understand that you make the most amazing paella, and I want to know what your secret ingredient is. So what is your recommendation on how you make a perfect dish?
It's the same with every kind of food. I think it's love, Lynn. Like, if you put love in what you do, things taste better. But I don't know how everyone knows about these paella things. I started doing them because my mom used to cook paella every Sunday for a lot of people, and we had these family reunions around a very big pan of rice, and I tried to carry on the tradition with me and get closer to people. But I don't think there is a secret beyond patience and love to do any kind of food. Yeah.
I think that is a perfect answer to end the podcast. So Javier, I have to thank you so much. I think that was a great session. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.